Hello, my name is Augusto Argandoña. Welcome to my watercolor tutorial. This demonstration is about how to paint um, a shrimp boat dock area, similar to any shrimp boat dock areas that we have here in Florida. This is not in any particular specific location. It's something that I'm doing from in my imagination, from memories of what I have seen in different locations here in Florida. And I'm gonna do it as a sunset. So there's gonna be primarily darker colors for everything, trees and shadows and reflections, but for the most part it will be the colors of a sunset with a lot of clouds and the reflections in the water. So I'm going to start with the fun part of this demo, which is the painting part. And for that, I'm going to start with adding some water, quite a bit of water actually, to the entire paper. Some clean water to the entire paper area, because between the sky and the reflections in the water, this will be done fairly softly. So that's why I'm going over everything that I have, including my lines, the boats and everything else. I'm adding quite a bit of water because I want the paper fairly wet here. Because of my lights, the paper dries fairly quickly too, so I'm going to start adding that. Now I'm going to use my mop brush, and then I'm going to bring some of the colors of the sunset. I'm going to start with some yellows. Some yellows in these areas, like that. And bring a roll out of them here. I'm going to bring in some oranges with a little bit of red, mainly some rosemary. And this is the colors that I'm using here, the orange and rosemary that I have in my other palette, and mixing those colors like that. And I'm going to bring some of those colors like this here. I'm going to add a little bit more of the rosemary to my palette, like that. I'm also going to bring in some alizarin crimson into that, and some cobalt blue. And then we'll go the other way, like that. Leave a little bit of the white there. I'm going to bring in some of the cobalt blue, like that, and the alizarin crimson, much darker now, like that. And I'm going to bring that over here. Like that. Now I'm going to also bring some of this yellow and these colors into the water, like that, and the alizarin crimson there with the cobalt blue. Mix it like that there, and I'm going to bring some of that over here. Bring my brush. Then I'm going to bring some of the rosemary that I have in my other palette and make the rosemary, but this time with ultramarine blue, like that, and add some of those colors over here. this area. I'm going to clean my brush again, and I'm going to bring more of this orange, this time with the alizarin crimson, like that. Bring into that. Bring into that boat. In my brush, a little bit more of the alizarin crimson. This again with the cobalt blue, like that. Much darker now. And I'm going to do that over here. Bring some of that color over here, like that. Now I'm going to clean my brush one more time, and this time I'm going to make a nice rich mixture of brown matter, like that, with brown matter and cobalt blue, much darker gray color, like that, maybe a little bit more of that. And I'm going to start adding that over here. Same thing in the sky area. Let's bring some of the cobalt, more of the cobalt blue this time. Bring some of that cobalt over here, like that. A little bit over here. There we are. More of the cobalt and the water. There. Also, clean my brush and bring some of the cerulean blue over here, mix into this color. Have a few touches of that into this area, and then the water. There we are. And so now I'm going to bring more of the ultramarine with the brown matter. Get a little darker clouds into this area. I like this area over there, so I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to add some darker colors into this area too. I'm going to start bringing in, I'm going to mix some of that ultramarine with these colors here, make a kind of gray, and I'm going to bring in some sepia, mix it into there, and bring into some of that into this, some of those gray areas here. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. And while that is drying, I'm going to clean my brush. Remove the moisture from my brush. I'm going to need this brush again. And this time I'm going to bring my hair dryer. So this is going to make a little bit of noise, but it has to be done that way. Have to dry the paper before I proceed with anything else. There's no other way to do this except to do exactly what I'm doing. It's drying really nicely. So, and those are the colors that I wanted to have. All those colors, as you saw, were mixed on the paper. Some were mixed on the palette. Now let's see how this. It's beginning to look good. So a little bit more over here. It is nice and dry. So some of the areas over here are going to have to be very crisp, and the background is going to be loose against the light sky. A little bit more. Okay. So now, let's start with that. I was painting standing up, so now I'm going to sit down, so I'll have a little bit more control over some of these areas. So, and then I have the small boats here. I'm going to make sure I have my lines. Some of the shrimp boats. Okay. There's a building here too, and a couple other one over here. And then this boat that's the shrimper that is over here. And a little bit of a dock here. There, yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to take a smaller round brush and start making the outline of the areas where those boats are in the distance. Not outline, but shapes that I'm going to do for the trees that are going to be behind. Maybe a little larger brush here. And I'm going to make a nice rich mixture here. I'm going to show you the colors. Let me see here. Colors here. I'm going to make a nice rich mixture of, I'm going to bring in some undersea green into this gray area, like that. I'm going to bring some sepia, and some Payne's gray, fairly dark, because all of this is going to be fairly dark, like that. And put that aside. And from now on, all the mixture that I'm going to do for these dark areas is going to be like that. So I'm going to outline this little boat. Like that. Maybe I'll use a bigger brush. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Use a bigger brush and mix the same colors. on the sea green, the Payne's gray, and the sepia. And start doing these trees that are silhouetted against that sky, and very like that. So you've seen how I mix those colors, so I'm not gonna bring that palette again for now, but it'll be just keeping within those colors. Some outlines of those trees against the background, against that sky. A little bit more sepia. And I'm going to come back to that later, but I'm going to do this of the boats. Like that. Darker, and then on the outline, get some of the detail of those trees against the background. I need a little bit more water in my brush, more of those colors. And continue. Doing that, like that. Showing a little bit of daylight at the distance. I'm also going to use some burnt umber, which is a dark brown, and we use that like that. Do this tree against that sky, like that. Then come down to the water, where this little boat is. And this other boat, this is a larger shrimper. There we are. Do a little bit more to see all the trees against the sky. Burnt umber, the undersea green, Payne's gray, much darker. Like that, there's another boat here. There. And another one over here. And there's another one over here. And that building. So now, also I'm going to bring some orange into that, get some of the other colors, not just the darker browns and blues. Like that. And now they're gonna do this building. We'll outline that later. But over here, I'm going to do more of these trees. down to this other building. Like that. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to re-wet the water area and connect that wetness with the lower area of those colors, and bring all the way down here like that. And bring this over there all the way down here like that. Now I'm going to get my big brush and bring the same colors that I use above there, and combine this. I'm going to mix those colors and bring them down into the water. Like that. Get a little darker colors. Bring some of that burnt umber also to that area. Down to this boat over here. And down to the water. Bring some of those darker colors. Like that. There. Okay, so now I think I'm going to bring some of those colors over here. Like that. There. Combine those colors over here. And these buildings, I'm going to bring some burnt brown matter and cobalt blue onto these buildings. Leave a little bit of the light color, the edge, like that. And those boats, I'm going to give them a little bit of cerulean blue. Some of that into these buildings too, and a little bit of ultramarine mixed with that gray tones. In my brush, I'm bringing a little bit of the rose madder, very light. Not not too much there. Get a little bit more of that rose matter over here. And those buildings, these reflections. Okay, so now on these boards over here, that's anchored. It is too light, so I'm gonna give it a coat of cobalt blue. Bring that cobalt blue all the way. Like that. And a little bit of the rose madder too. And bring some of that into this dark. Like that there. Bring a little bit of those colors into this area too. Those little boats. Right, so now this area is almost dry. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to add some water again to this area. I'm not touching the other areas there. And I'm going to bring in more, this time more ultramarine with this blue, some brown matter, which are the colors like this, ultramarine and brown matter. More ultramarine there. And add some of those colors over here. Like that. A little darker. There. Let that dry. While that's drying, what I'm going to do is give it another shot of the hair dryer, so you're going to hear more sound here. Until we dry this. Almost dry. Give it a little bit more. This has to be very dry for the rest of the items that I'm going to paint. A little bit more. Almost there. Okay, enough of that. So now This is dry, yep, good. So now, I don't need to show my palette, because I'm gonna just mention the colors and you will see what I'm doing. So I'm going to get some sepia. Get a different brush here. Get my very tiny brush. Get some sepia and ultramarine blue. So I'll start working on these little boats. There's a little window there. So there. So this one here has window there, like that. Something this. And this one, this is a shrimper. Same thing with this. Yeah. Well, this is another shrimper over here. There's a big one over here. A little more water in my brush. Yeah. We'll put another one over here. Like that. Now we'll do those different areas of the dock on the opposite side, almost with a dry brush effect. Like this. Just give an indication of something that's happened in that dock area. Some of these buildings, some windows. Get a smaller brush and do some little details of whatever is happening there. Like that. Now I'm going to get some of the sepia and the Payne's gray and can continue with this. I think I'm going to, instead of doing that, I'm going to add a little bit of water to those areas, make this softer. Bring that down through the lower area over here, all these little darker areas. This water is kind of tranquil, so we'll just work it out like that. there. Okay, got the reflections. A little bit more over here. Like that. Some darker areas there. Okay, so now with this boat over here, get a smaller brush, get some sepia, some ultramarine, and we'll do this boat. Like this. Get some burnt sienna also. Do this area inside that hole. Get some sepia into it. Like that. Some paraphernalia that's on the other, on the inside of these bolts. They're kind of messy. They are not tidy, that's for sure. So I'm gonna put those bunch of things here. Kind of messy looking. Bring some cobalt blue. Bring some other colors here. Kind of warm colors. There's a lot of paraphernalia there. And this bolt is like that. And now, then we get some more burnt sienna, a little bit of sepia and ultramarine, and get these items that are over here. Like that. Like that. And there's some other items that are like that over there. And the fishing booms are over here too, out of here like that. This. There we go, like that. On the other side, you also see the booms from this, from the fishing there. A little bit more here and there, like that. There. Put one over here. put some. There we are. Now I'm gonna do this dark. Get some burnt umber, fairly dark, a little bit of brown matter. I also get some sepia. Like that. Give it a little bit of a dimension. Get more sepia, some cobalt blue. Like that. There. Now we get the posts over here. All the stuff that's below here. Over here. Get some of the ultramarine into that, and we'll do this. Like that. Then we'll get some more ultramarine, quite a bit of ultramarine, some brown matter, some sepia, more ultramarine, and do the underneath of this. This dark. More sepia there, more brown matter. More ultramarine. There we go. A little bit more water. Get some burnt sienna mixed there. I'm gonna do a few more areas of ripples over here. Like that. Get this really dark. And I can see that the side of that boat needs to be darkened, so I'm going to use some cobalt blue and rose madder here. Too much. There. I'm going to use some cerulean blue too. There, that's better. There. That's good. Well, I have that cerulean blue. I'm going to add a few touches here. Maybe some manganese blue instead. That might be better. Yeah, yes. There. Some of that manganese here too. More of that. Some here. And add just a little bit of this gray to the hull of this boat. Ah, there we are. That's better. Okay, so now I'm going to bring more of this and do some of the slight ripples in the water in the distance. And that's I'm going to get my smaller brush and pick up some highlights with a very thirsty brush. Pick up some highlights like that. A little bit over here. There. A little bit over here too in the hole. There we are. That's good. Now, same thing on these posts, or rather on this dock too. There. And on these posts. There. That's good. So now, one more area of highlights on these buildings. The tops. Not too much, just a few touches here and there. There. Maybe on this side, maybe some of these boats. Get a little bit of highlight. Yeah. There. And the painting is pretty much done. And lastly, I'm going to get some of this rose color, a little bit of the cerulean blue, and do a few more of these ripples over here. There. And that's about it. So the last thing that this needs is my signature. So I'm gonna get some cobalt blue and sign it here. Yeah. Be done. So I'm going to remove this tape. Removing this tape is always hard. The hardest part of the painting. And I'm going to place this painting on a darker background so you can appreciate a little bit more. Get it away from this lighter background. Get my hand here and remove the tape. Look at all those nice. I'm going to leave that there. I don't know. Maybe I should soften it a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to ruin it, but I'm going to try it. I think I'm going to leave it alone. Yeah. Now bring that darker background. Pick up the painting, put it over here. I'm going to minimize this so you can see. And there it is. The shrimping ducks, shrimp boat ducks at sunset. Or it could be sunrise, but either one. Have all those nice colors. A lot of things happening in the distance, but I'm just implying something. I'm not describing. Even the shrimp boats are kind of not very specific, but beautiful colors in the sky. And you saw how I do this, you know, mixing the colors on the paper. And that's pretty much it. It looks very much like some of the shrimping docks that you see throughout Florida, especially here on the Gulf Coast. Thank you very much for watching my demo. I hope you enjoy my painting. You can see more of my paintings on my website at www.aafinearts.com. That is aafinearts.com. I have many different images. You can click on prints and see the images, and all those prints, all those images are available in print form in many sizes. So thank you very much. Until next time.